Hi everyone, welcome to Stories and Statutes, where I simplify legal concepts and guide you through the fascinating world of law. In today's video, I will walk you on the topic invisible contracts around us. To know more about it, let's get started. Invisible contracts, the agreements you didn't sign. Have you ever used a website or bought a cup of coffee without reading the fine print or made a deal with someone without shaking hands or signing any papers? Welcome to the world of invisible contracts, agreements that don't always come with formal signatures, but that are very much real and enforceable. Today, on Stories and Statutes, we are going to explore these hidden agreements around us, especially within the Indian context, where law often speaks louder than the words. Let's dive in. How contracts are not always paperwork. Imagine this. You are in a local coffee shop ordering your usual steaming cup of masala chai or coffee. The barista smiles, hands you the cup, and you pay. It's a simple transaction, isn't it? But what if I told you that this small exchange is a perfect example of a contract in action? In this scenario, an invisible contract was formed the moment you agreed to pay for the product. There is no written agreement, no signature, but your action of paying and receiving the drink automatically created a contract under the law. This is an example of what we called an implied contract. It's not written down anywhere, but it is understood by both the parties. You pay and the shop provides the product. The law recognizes this agreement as binding. The implied contracts. Think about it every time you enter a store or when you hop into an auto rickshaw. You are entering into a similar kind of invisible contract. The shopkeeper or the driver provides a service and you provide the payment. No need for signatures, it's understood. Coming to statutes, invisible contracts in Indian law. In the world of contracts, not all agreements need to be formal. In fact, Indian law recognizes a variety of contracts that don't require any paperwork to be legally binding. These are often referred to as implied contracts, agreements that are formed based on the actions or conduct of the parties involved, rather than through explicit written or spoken words. Indian Contract Act 1872 is a backbone of the contract law in India. It provides a framework for forming contracts and it acknowledges that not all contracts are formalized in writing. In fact, some contracts are implied by the conduct of the parties involved. Let's break this down with real world example. How many of you have ever used an online services like social media or e-commerce website? You may never have read the terms and conditions, but the moment you clicked I agree or sign up, you enter into an implied contract. In India, websites and applications often form implied contracts with users when they accept the terms and conditions by merely using the site. This is true for everything from online shopping platforms to mobile applications and even social networks. Even though these terms are not physically signed, the law still sees your click as a legally binding action, signaling your agreement to abide by the rules set by the service provider. This is why, when a website or application changes its terms, they have the right to enforce these changes on users who uses their platform. Invisible contracts in our daily life. But it's not just online or commercial transactions. Invisible contracts are happening all around us every day. Let's say you are boarding a local train. By purchasing a ticket, you are entering into an implied contract with the railway service. They agree to transport you to your destination safely and you agree to follow their rules like not littering or causing a disturbance. There is no written contract, but you have accepted the terms by paying for the ticket. Or consider a situation where you are hiring a cab or a rickshaw. Even though you don't sign a contract, the moment you open and agree to the fare, you have entered into an implied contract. You expect to reach your destination and the driver expects payment. Legal enforcement of invisible contracts. Enforcing invisible contracts in Indian law. Now, let us talk about how Indian law enforces these invisible agreements. As mentioned earlier, the Indian Contract Act provides the foundation for this. For any contract to be valid, whether implied or written, there must be a mutual agreement, a consideration of something of value exchanged, and an intention to create legal relations. So when you agree to the terms of an online services, you are providing consideration like your personal data or the money you spend, and the service provider is offering you the access to their platform or content. The law considers this as a valid contract even though you never signed a paper. Invisible contracts which are present everywhere. Whether you are buying a cup of coffee, using a website, or hopping into a rickshaw, invisible contracts are everywhere. They are an essential part of our daily life, making transactions smoother, simpler, and more efficient. These agreements may not always come with signatures, but they carry the same weight as formal contracts. So, the next time you click I agree on a website or step into a taxi, remember you are a part of an invisible contract and it is binding. Thank you for listening to Stories and Statutes. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about the laws that shape our world. Until next time, stay informed and stay aware.